happy, beautiful day. Where I am is not who I am. What about you? Is where you are who you are? What I would like to do in this short period of time that we spend together is to take you on a little bit of a journey, exploration, as we explore the essence of who we really are. But before we dive into that, I'd like you to take a moment and think about when you meet someone, what is it that you might ask of someone? What's the 3 or 4 things when you meet someone for the first time? What is the information that we would glean from someone? Would we say, how are you? What's your name? What do you do? Where do you live? It's fascinating, right? So, are you your name? Or was your name something that was given to you? What about what you do for a living? Is that who you are? And what about where you live? So where do you live? Well, I had a coach for 16 years of my life, and he was one of the most influential people I ever met. And I'd just come back from traveling around the world. I'd been to Canada, I'd been to America, I'd been to Australia, I'd been to Singapore, and I came home and I called him up. He lived in Dallas, Texas, and I said to him, "Oh, I'm so tired. I just can't wait to go home." And he said, "Where's home?" I said, "You know where my home is. You've been there." He goes, "No, that's just where you reside. That's not your home. Your home is in you, and you can be at home wherever you are. Any time of the day, any time of life, you can be at home." And it was one of those things when someone said this to me, I kind of stopped. And I got a real sense of what he was saying, but it took a few more years to really understand the essence of what he was saying. Because if you think about it, where we live really is in here. And what is the experience of being you? When someone says to you, "How are you?" what does that really mean? How are you is actually biblical. It means, how are you with God? And for me, it means, how am I with myself? What is the experience like of being me? Now, the experience of being me for so much in my life was a product of what I had been through. So going through family, education, culture, religion, experience. And the experience of being me, well, I don't know whether you'd want to be me. I don't know if you'd actually want to be able to go in and have the opportunity to see the world and to feel what I actually felt, because I didn't feel particularly good about myself. And I was looking for something. I was looking for validation. I wanted people to accept me as who I was. But all of the validation I would get, it really didn't really make any difference. Because I was on a mission to get people to like and love me and appreciate me. And boy, did I take excessive action to get what I thought I needed. So from writing 20 books, from speaking all over the world, to having my own TV program. And when I started to get validation, it never hit the mark. There was always something missing. And it's amazing what we go through to actually get an essence to find out who we actually are. It's one of the greatest journeys I think any human being can ever go on, is to find out the essence of who you are. So how did I find out who I actually was? Well, has anyone here ever had a major stop moment? When everything stops, that everything becomes different from that experience. I'm sure that's something every single one of us can relate to. And in the last 5 years, I've had a few major stop moments. First, my father passed away 5 years ago, and then my mother passed away a couple of years ago, and just this year, someone very, very close to me passed away. And it was a major stop moment. Everything changed. Everything was different. That person was my wife. She was given 18 months to live. And what was absolutely amazing about her was who she decided to be. Where she was caught up in a world of a diagnosis, and it would have been so easy to get caught up in the where. For me, the where is circumstantial. The where always changes. But when you know the essence of who you are, I think it's really much easier to manage where we go through in life. And what I've observed from all of the years of working with people is that people are often scared to find out who they are. In Nelson Mandela's inaugural speech, when he says, which he didn't write, Marianne Williamson, when she said man's deepest fear is his greatness. And when we look at people like Nelson Mandela, was he where he was, or was he who he chose to be? Mahatma Gandhi was the same thing. He said, be the change that you want to see in the world. He knew he had to reinvent himself. My wife decided not to be a victim of where she was. She decided who she was going to become. And it was amazing to see this because I was watching this. I was observing the person that she became, and she became one of my greatest teachers. And just the other day, I met a lady, and I was amazed by her story. She comes from a country called Zimbabwe. And I heard her story, and I went and read a little bit about who this person was. And then I heard that someone called Oprah Winfrey, I'm sure people have heard of Oprah Winfrey. I remember watching Oprah in the 90s, and I was just obsessed by who this person was and who she was bringing to the table. Because I'm one of these people that's constantly looking for answers. My dad always said, son, it's not what you know. And my mum always said there's an answer to everything. And I truly believe there's an answer to everything. And I truly believe in life, it's not just what you know, it's not just who knows you, but it's what you can do for others. Which is what Martin Luther King said. Martin Luther King said, yes, he did have a dream and other people saw his dream, but he also said the most important question we should be asking each other is, what can I do for you? How can I help you? And when I got to know this lady and I heard a little bit about her story, being 18 years old and having 4 children, going out in an environment that would be a challenge to think out of the environment. And some of us are very fortunate that the wares we have in our life, that it's easier for us to move away from our wares, to be inspired by our wares. Some people in the world today are very challenged with the situations that they're in. And they need people who know who they are to help lift them up from where they are so they can move from where they are to who they're capable of being. Now, for Oprah Winfrey to actually say that of all the guests that she's ever had, this lady was the best guest that she ever had. Surely that's because Oprah was able to see who this person is. So let me ask you the question. Who are you? Who are you at your core? Now, it is my belief, who I am, is I'm a vessel of love. I am love. That's who I am. That's what I have. I am kind. And I know as a human being, there's nothing more that I can do better than to be a loving, kind human being, to give my space to others, to be curious. And I believe everyone is that vessel. But I also believe that there is something that we could call our onlyness. Something that only you can do. Now think about it. With your onlyness, you can only be the person that you are to certain people. No one else can be the person that you are. There's certain things that only us can do. But I also think deeper, there is something truly unique about us. And through my experience of what I have been through, I know who I am at my core. Yes, I know I'm a vessel of love. Yes, I know I'm a vessel of kindness, appreciation, to celebrate others. But I also know the essence of who I am is creating environments where people can stop, pause, and look at life with a fresh pair of eyes. Because we know that people don't really change when we tell them what to do. I think there's an inner rebel inside all of us. For example, if I said, tidy your room, how many of you would go, that's a fantastic idea, and you go and run and tidy your room? Or how many of you would go, who's he to tell me that I should tidy my room? I will do what I want to do. And what I want to do is help people to stop and pause and look at life with a fresh pair of eyes. Because it's with fresh perspectives that maybe we could do that work to go inside and to really get a sense of who we are. Now, in May this year, my wife passed away, and she was, without doubt, the most influential, the most kind, the most loving human being. And what's crazy is that since she passed away, all of these people were telling me who she was. And I wish I had taken more time to really appreciate who she was. I was just too caught up in where I was. And now I know I have this opportunity that I believe we all have to really look at ourselves and realize who we are and what we actually have. So let me finish on a couple of questions. Do you believe that your future is unwritten? And do you believe that you have the power to change? In the world of psychology and neuroscience over the last few years, what we've discovered is truly fascinating. And it's this: people are creating futures they don't want. It's called a default future. We can put people in fMRI machines and we can see brain activity when we ask them certain questions. So we can ask the question, think of yourself, and we see a region of the brain light up. Then we could ask people to think of a stranger, and we'd see a different part of the brain light up. Then we would ask people to think of themselves in a year's time. What part of the brain do you think lights up for most people? Well, it probably won't surprise you. It's the stranger. If you don't know who you're capable of being, why would you invest in a future that you can't see? You'll invest in where you are as opposed to who you are. Is life not really who you are choosing to become? Just like Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world. And what greater gift than to be able to stop and appreciate who you are, but more importantly, who you are capable of becoming. What are we on this earth to do? Well, that's up to you. What's the meaning of life? It's the meaning that you give it. And I ask you just to take a few moments and stop and ask yourself the question, what's next? Who are you committed to becoming? How can I help you? Thank you. I appreciate you all. Have a beautiful day.